Welcome to another high school preview segment, part of the Powell in a Dugout show. Today we got Coach Henson from Blue Ridge High School. What's going on, Coach?
Doing great. Appreciate you guys having me on, and appreciate all you guys do for high school baseball in the state of South Carolina.
Yes, sir. It's good to get you on. Good to see you again. I know it's been a while since I last saw you. So we'll start out here talking about your team last year. Some of the guys that you lost that were crucial, as well as your season last year.
Yes, sir. Going into last season, we had graduated 10 seniors. We'd had back-to-back 20-win seasons, and that was a great class for us. And so we knew we were going to have, and early, we're going to have to really kind of develop some guys early. We had a good senior class. We had 6 seniors last year, 3 that were starters for us, and we're going to miss those guys. They did a great job. One big challenge for them last year was not just getting themselves ready, but I mentioned graduated 10 seniors. They had to get our underclassmen ready to go. We started 6 freshmen and sophomores last year. 5 were 4-time starters for us. And so we knew we were going to be the youngest we've been in a long time. And to be honest with you, we got off to a great start. We started out 10-2 in the season, and we're rolling along. Then we hit a couple of injuries and did not finish the way we wanted to. And we, had some good ball games down the stretch, a couple of close games you guys even saw. But, we ended up in the playoffs losing to Chapman and Wren, which were 2 good ball teams. We'd beaten Wren earlier in the season on the road. In fact, when we started out 10-2, we'd beaten Daniel on the road, Wren on the road, and Broome on the road. So we were playing well. But then a couple of injuries we just didn't overcome, and we weren't as good offensively as we had been. Now, pitching was much better. In fact, we're going to be very solid this upcoming season with pitching. So, but no, we're excited. I tell you one thing that's a lot different for us this year is we're going into a new region. We're still 3A, but that region realignment is a lot different. We've been in there with Palmetto and Powdersville, and buddy, we had some great battles with those guys over the last couple of years. I tell you the thing that was really strange for that graduating class this past season was that 2020 season when we only got to play 8 games. I think we were 6-2 when that happened. And I said we won 20 games in 2019. We were 6-2 in 2020. We went 20-6 in 2021. And then last year, that group had lost their sophomore season. So that was another thing that was kind of tough for us. That was a group that we knew was going to have to develop fast. So, we enjoyed competing, excited to be where we were, but didn't quite finish what we wanted to. But proud of those guys. We've got our seniors right now. We've got 3 that are at the collegiate level right now that graduated out of that class. And so they've done a good job. Brant Miller went to Coker, Brant Somero went to USC Sumter, and Cam Sands went to Erskine. And those 3 guys were 3 4-time starters for us. Braden Harrison was our catcher. Did a good job as well. So we're going to have a lot to replace, but we do have a lot coming back. I mentioned we had 6 freshmen and sophomores that started for us, 5 that were pretty much 4-time starters. And not only that, but we returned 4 all-region performers. I don't know that I've ever done that before. We had 2 guys that were sophomores, Mason Tompkins and A.J. Camarota. Were both sophomores for us last season. They were our number 1 and 2 arms. In fact, to be honest with you, they were about the same. If you look at their statistics last season, it's pretty interesting. Both of them were 5-2. Both of them had 62 strikeouts, and both of them are all region. So one's a righty, Tompkins is a righty, and Camarota is a lefty. And so that's our 1-2 punch coming in as juniors this year. And also Cade Norton last season was a sophomore that was all region. Now, Cade played for us in right field last year. Cade's we thought he was going to be a JV catcher. In fact, he's going to be a catcher this season. But his bat was so good in the preseason. He came on so strong. He's very versatile. Cade is a competitor. He's got the kind of the mentality that you're going to need to be successful. And he played so well in the preseason. Offensively, we had to get him in the lineup. Well, he ended up being a 3-hole hitter, ended up being all region, and had an outstanding season for us. So between Camarota and Tompkins and Norton, all coming back, having had great sophomore seasons, and then Brody Fowler is a senior for us. We only have 4 seniors this year, but Brody is a very versatile player. Brody started for us last year in 6 different positions, believe it or not, because of the injuries. When the shortstop got hurt, he had to come in and play short. He had to come in and play second when the second baseman got hurt. But he's also a center fielder, left fielder, and pitcher. And but Brody's going to he's a returning all-region utility guy. So to be honest with you, to have those 4 all-region returners from last season is going to be really good for us heading into this season into a new region.
No doubt, no doubt. Obviously, losing some of those guys that went off to college, and these returners that have done so well for you in the past or did last year. Obviously, 4 all-region guys, and heck, you always get your number 1 and number 2 back. It's always a blessing. Not many people get to return those guys, and not only 1 and 2s, but guys that got good arms and good stuff. What about some new guys to your program? Guys that were either maybe on the JV team or guys that are just new to school, or just guys that maybe were on the varsity that didn't get much playing time? Who are some guys you're expecting to step up this year for you?
Hey, we're really excited about our young group. One thing that's pretty interesting for a JV program, JV program's won 48 straight games against 1A, 2A, or 3A teams. As far as now, we like to play 4A and 5A. In fact, 2 years ago, we went 7-0 against 4A and 5A teams and beat some good programs. We love the way our JV program's set up. We practice together, JV and varsity. We coach them together, JV and varsity. And so we're able to move guys up and down. It also means that we have guys ready to play. And so that was a big key for us last year. Listen, if we hadn't had a good JV program when we graduated 10 seniors last year, we've been in dire straits. But we do have a good JV program. And this year, we've got some good contributors that are coming up. In fact, if we look at our class, we've got 9 juniors and 5 sophomores that will probably be on the varsity baseball team, and possibly 1 freshman as well. And I'll tell you a little bit about those guys. For us and sophomores, we've got some really good players that are coming up. Gabe King was a freshman for us last year. Gabe King, give his statistics for us last season on the mound. Gabe was actually 1-0 for us as a freshman and had 22 strikeouts and 1 save and 16 innings pitched. So he's returning for us to give us some depth behind Tompkins and Cameron. He's a sophomore that this year will also probably be in the lineup. Last year he was pretty much exclusively pitching for us at the JV level. When he played, he was a great hitter for us as well. Alex Canary is a junior that's played really well in the fall, and he's going to be a big player for us coming up this season, as well as Levi Power is another one that is a good JV player for us. Tell you about Alex Canary, you just mentioned a moment ago. He was coming back off of a back injury, and the first game of the JV season last year, he hit home runs in his first 2 at-bats. And so that's when we knew he was going to be pretty strong for us. So he's going to be a good junior for us this year. And he had a good fall. I had some coaches call me about him in the fall with his pop and his bat, and he's going to be good. Freshman Jackson Weiner is very good. He and Brady Smouse were 2 that were selected to the Diamond Prospects underclass all-star team based on the Diamond Prospects fall league season. And so both of those guys are going to be good for us. We feel really good about a young group. To be honest with you, that junior class is a lot like a senior class was from a couple of years ago. Those 10 seniors, we've got 9 juniors in that class. And again, 3 of those guys are all region. And we've got some of them that have been playing JV, and they're going to be coming up and they're giving us a good depth this season. So we feel good about some good young guys coming up for sure.
Yeah, you talk about those young guys. You've already got every time I've seen you, you've had a strong program. You play well every time. So I know those guys are going to be exciting coming up as well. And I expect them to be just as good too, based off what I've seen throughout the years. So that's exciting for you guys. How about let's talk about some expectations you have or some strengths you have for this upcoming season.
I tell you, we're excited about it. I mentioned going into a new region. In our region, it's going to be extremely competitive, top to bottom. In the region we were in, we knew Pattersville, Palmetto, and us were 3 that were going to battle with each other every time and have some great ball games. This new region we have, you've got Broome, Chapman, Travelers Rest, us, and Carolina. And I'll be honest with you, between Chapman, Broome, and Travelers Rest and us, it's going to be, it'll be some good baseball games to watch. A lot of good players, a lot of, everybody in this region, outstanding coaches. Coach Schutte does a great job at Carolina. Coach McKissick at Travelers Rest, and Coach Waddle at Broome, and Coach Fasaro at Chapman. All of those are great friends and great competitors and good coaches. So they've got great programs. They've got great players. I'm really looking forward to not only competing in this region, but, the fact is you're going to have to be very good every night out. Going into the season, I feel like, our strength is going to be on the mound just because we return, our top 2 ace arms there that were starters. Now, some of those guys that graduated, Somero and Miller, were good relievers for us. So we're going to miss both of those fellas. But I think Gabe King coming in as he's going to be a sophomore this year. I mentioned he pitched 16 innings for us as a freshman last year. Brody Fido can also pitch for us and give us depth. Drew Culpepper is a very interesting player for us. He's a senior, and Drew got hurt his sophomore season and he was leading our JV team at that time. And then last year as a junior, he was playing second base for us and had a serious knee injury about midway through the season. I mentioned those injuries. He was a tough one to recover from losing that injury. He went down to playoffs. He's back for us, and he's going to be very good. He's kind of the wild card for us to see how Drew Culpepper does, because he just has missed on some injuries, as well as Ethan Perry. Ethan Perry is a good player for us. He's a senior. Ethan missed the entire season last year with an injury. His sophomore season, he had a tough injury as well. So those two guys of our seniors have not gotten to play a lot of games. So I'm excited to see what they're able to do this year. We're going to be very versatile offensively. We're going to be, we've got a lot of speed. So we're going to be pretty aggressive on the bases. We're going to be able to, I feel like you've got to be able to push a lot of buttons. If you got to have a lot of ways, a lot of methods to score. And I think we're going to be pretty good at what we like to do, which is put pressure on defenses, apply pressure on the bases, and do that. I think we're going to have good team speed, good pitching depth. I think we're going to be, very solid around the infield defensively. It's going to be good for us. Cade Norton moving behind the plate is going to be good. Brayton Hairston was an outstanding defensive catcher. So we got to get Cade the innings behind the plate here early. One thing that's very different this year, and any time I've ever coached high school baseball, we do not play any region games before spring break. And I've never had that before. The region being a 5-team region. So really you just have 8 region games. And all 8 of those games are scheduled after spring break, which is very important for us. I mentioned those seniors that were out the last 2 seasons with injuries, Culpepper and Perry. So they're going to be able to get experience. Norton's going to be able to get behind the plate and get experience. In fact, if we look at our schedule, we play 12 games before we play 1 region game. And so, before we open up region play on March 28th against Broome, we've had a lot of opportunities to get better and learn a lot about ourselves. So I think that's going to be very important for us. The preseason, we play, we got 5A opponents in Burns and Borden Springs on the schedule. We've got Riverside on the schedule. Got Daniel as a non-region game we'll have to play, which they've been very good. So, we like to go out and play good teams. And I think playing Borden Springs, Burns, Riverside, and Daniel as some of our 12 games going into the region season is going to get us ready and also expose any weaknesses that we have. The thing about playing good teams, you get to find out what you need to do better. And you're going to be tested. So I think that's something that's so different than any season I've ever had. I've never had it where we didn't play 1 region game before spring break. But the way it fell this year, spring break's early for Greenville County. It's in, March, the week of March 20th is our spring break. That's pretty early. But at the same time, we got good non-region games to get us ready. I think that's going to be big for us to see how we respond and being able to finish games and get after. One thing about last season, we had 9 losses on the season. 7 of them were by 1 or 2 runs, 4 of them by 1 run. So I feel like this season, we've got to do a better job of finishing those games. And part of that was not only, it was against good teams, but, not being inexperienced and being able to find ways. Now, we won some big games too. I'll probably tell you of, 16 wins, probably 10 of those were probably 1 or 2 runs as well. Okay. So we had, but I think that's going to be important for us is to be able to finish games this upcoming season.
No doubt. Obviously, with the new region, the tough, it's always one of those things, right? People always say, "Wow, we lost however many by 1 run," and like you hit on the head, it's like, well, we also won a lot by 1 run. So you never know it is, but yeah. Obviously, a lot to like about your club. We got, like you said earlier, we got a chance to watch you guys play a little bit last year, and we've seen some of your guys in a couple of our events, and we're really looking forward to the spring. So we definitely appreciate you, Coach, joining us today and talk about your club as I know you're excited about them, and so are we to get out there this spring and watch you. So we appreciate all you've done to hop on here today with us and all you do for the high school baseball here in the great state of South Carolina.
Listen, we appreciate the opportunity to mention the start of the show. I appreciate all you guys do. It's giving exposure to not only our athletes, but also our baseball programs. We've got so many good baseball teams across the upstate, across the entire state of South Carolina. Good players, good coaches. So I just enjoy looking at all your reports and seeing who all's out there. Having coached at the collegiate level too. I think I can really really appreciate what you're doing and giving those behind the scenes and getting exposure to a lot of guys that may not get that exposure all the time. So I really appreciate what you guys have done. I mentioned earlier in 22 seasons of coaching, one thing that's changed a lot is the exposure that is being given by programs like yours and organizations like PBR. And you guys do a great job in the state of South Carolina, and we really appreciate everything you do. And we are looking forward to the spring and looking forward to the regional competition, and can't wait to get going. And wish you guys a very Merry Christmas, and look forward to the baseball season.
No doubt. Well, thank you. And same to you. Appreciate you, Coach.